Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Sunny Sunny Limerick. Sort of. We are here live and on location for the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships, and this Tuesday morning begins with action from the Mixed Masters division with QOLD of Quebec, Canada, taking on SOS of Seattle, USA. A very good morning to all of you watching at home on the WFDF YouTube channel. My name is Benjamin Rees, and I am delighted to be joined with let me put my tooth back in. Delighted to be joined this morning by the one and only Troy Weston. Good morning. Yeah, at the moment, QOLD of Quebec, Canada, up against SOS of Seattle, USA. This is a power pool matchup. The top two seeds in each of the initial pools in the mixed Masters division, go into the top power pools. For QOLD, they boast a 2-1 record, going down to old number 7, 4 victories over Thundering Herd and Sputmix Cologne, whereas for SOS, a perfect 3-0 record on the weekend, 15-4 over RJP, 15-6 over BOD, and 15-5 over Handle with Care. So they are looking in imperious form so far this week. Yeah, for SOS as well, Cameron Hunter's got 6 assists and a couple of goals. 7 assists as well for Jeff Pape and Steve Gussin. So evidently the ability to distribute the load of the offense slightly around the roster, which is always a nice quality to have. I did say it was sunny, and I meant that slightly in jest. But we've got some blue sky, and I can definitely feel the sun trying its best to burst its way through the clouds over towards our left-hand side. Yeah, not quite as windy as it has been this week, with SOS starting the game on offense. On the far sideline, Gussin. Downfield, Chang. Back to Gussin and wants to squeeze that one down the line. Nice high release backhand. Finds Kat Songa. Everything staying very close to the handlers at the moment. Cheeky little overhead there. Finds the target of Revolts. Now he shoots all the way across the end zone. It floats and it sits, but it is perfectly weighted into the hands of Chang. A nice clean hold there for the Americans to take a 1-0 lead.
That was a really great backhand crossfield throw that we saw there. First out of the gate, hold from SOS. Sorry, my mic was not working earlier. I'm now on the feed. Good to hear. Beautiful forehand flick.
Yeah, that was clean and efficient from SOS, showing a little bit of the form that has helped them go undefeated so far coming into this game. They bring a lot of pedigree behind them. Founded just last year, but about 2/3 of the roster has played for the reigning USA national champion in the mixed division BFG. Finished 3rd at USA Masters Nationals last year, thus earning the bid and the spot to Limerick this week.
QOLD, mainly hailing from Quebec City in Canada, with a few players from BC.
So QOLD coming down on offense now for the first time. Tremblay on this near sideline. Tremblay Paradis. And there's going to be a stoppage for a pick. Just getting ready to be checked in. And turned over. SOS have an early break chance here. Not far to go. Hunter Looking downfield. Foul on the throw.
Unfortunately, we had a foul on the throw there. That was a nice run through D.
And just going to feather that little high release flick into the end zone. Expertly done from a Hunter. Lexi Garrity is the target, and that's an early break here for SOS, giving themselves a 2-0 lead.
SOS just want to give a bit of a shout out here to some of their sideline that can't be on the field with them. That's Ben, Maria, Charlie, and Vandy. So SOS just want to say a huge thank you and a big shout out to all of you.
Yeah, always nice to see that players have friends and family, and occasionally as well teammates supporting back home in the States, where I appreciate at the moment on the West Coast it's probably, let me do maths here, 1 o'clock in the morning. So any SOS fans who are staying up late to watch this game, welcome. Those of you watching in Quebec, which is 5-6 hours behind, that is
4 or 5.
5.
4 or 5.
Four
it might
or
be
five.
4 actually.
That's still that is right in early in the morning, and I appreciate a bit of a dead zone. So we really do thank you for enjoying our coverage here in Limerick. Cole coming back out on offense, and just a little throwaway there. Dump and receiver not on the same page. There's an issue downfield. This will be an injury call, I think.
It looks actually like there might have been a missed gender representation on the field. One team went 4 women, the other team went 4 men accidentally. I'm pretty sure the circle hands over the head means 4 ladies. Maybe?
Well, the disc is play is restarted. So whatever the infraction was, it's now been resolved. Shooting the inside flick, thinks about the continuation down the break side, shoots pass low and doesn't connect with the target.
The wind picking up here, so they're gonna have to test their throws out a little bit more, make sure they're nice and crisp.
Clawson was the intended receiver, and he got down low but couldn't get there quickly enough. Cold, fake the big. Option open underneath. That's where they go to Roussin. And absolutely ripped by Petit Pain. This is going to require some stretching, but it was too far out in front of Couture Dubé.
That was a massive huck down to the end zone, going downwind. Wind just pushes it so far. Really hard to judge exactly how much touch to put on that disc.
Yeah, an absolute bomb, but unfortunately at this point it didn't connect. More opportunities for SOS. Garrity makes the first cut and clears out. So they move it between the handlers first up. Sliding grab on the knees there by Ahrens. Hunter thinks about the deep look, doesn't like it. Now still count rising. Just about fires that through to shoot. Who I must admit, wearing a tank top, much braver than I in this weather. Hunziker wants to spear it down the far side of the field, over the head of the defenders, and Garrity makes the catch. Her second goal in as many points. It's another break for SOS, and now they lead 3-0.
What an exciting game right after that. We're getting huck after huck. Huge bombs downfield in this win. Not surprised to see from both of these teams, but it is absolutely wonderful to see out there, especially since we haven't seen a lot of those huge hucks so far this week, being so windy. So this is an absolute pleasure to open up the morning with.
Yeah, those of you who've been watching our coverage from the previous few days from the little kind of natural amphitheatre here at the University of Limerick, which is, I must say, a lovely facility. The pitches are orientated differently, whereas those were we'll call those vertical, the pitches here horizontal, so wind coming in the same direction would affect the pitches differently. You've got more of that crosswind than that up-down.
And you never know with Ireland, the wind can change at any minute, so be prepared for absolutely anything.
Yeah, I know you spent a bit of time here, Troe, and I'd say this weather is probably not necessarily out of the ordinary.
No, I believe that this is fairly normal for them. I've heard from a few fellow Irish people that when the sun is out, that's when they can celebrate. It's always windy, though.
So Paul fielded deep by QOLD. Down the far sideline, de Grand Maison. Floats that one, it's going to sail, and actually finds the target in the end. Côté Ala. Now Bauer. Proby looking towards the end zone. Sticks it right on de Grand Maison for the first Canadian goal of the game, 3-1. Nice to see them get a little bit of a foothold with that hold.
And that was Danny, or Jocelyn Proby, with the assist there. She is one of the players to watch out for. She has got 2 assists and 6 goals throughout the week so far for QOLD, one of their Vancouver or BC pickups. And actually, fun fact about Danny is that this trip to Ireland just a few days ago, she got engaged.
Oh, congratulations.
So a huge congratulations to Danny Proby and her new fiancé, Ari Natikman.
They'll be hoping to make it an even better week with some, maybe some silverware here.
That can only be the goal for them.
And that's just put a little bit of a smile on my face. It's nice.
It's nice to see you smile, Benji.
Sorry?
It's nice to see you smile.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say it doesn't happen very often. That's not true. When I'm commentating on Ultimate, it happens quite a lot. Especially when you get the opportunity to come to Limerick to do it as well. Going with that blading pull that skims its way out of bounds. Songa, this SOS O-line, back on the field after they had a nice clean hold this game's first point. This handling set of Chan, Songa and Gussin seems to be happy to do a lot of the leg work, so to speak. Other players isolated quite a way downfield and really handle lead at the moment. That sails a little bit, not a problem for Kirkland. Kirkland pops off to Chang. Now back into the backfield. Gussin wants to squeeze it down the sideline, but the window wasn't there, and QOLD get the D.
I think you were right earlier. It was an injury sub. I thought injury was hands behind the head.
That was my understanding of what the injury was. So I don't know if maybe they're just used to using a different signal for it. Either way, as long as both parties understand what's going on. So QOLD will try to earn back one of those early breaks that Seattle were able to rack up. The Québécois will pick up through Pierre-Benoit Allard. Looking for the inside shot towards the sideline. Finds Massé. Massé trying to get trapped on the line here. Squares up. Breaks it around to Young. Now trying to get a little bit of movement and speed to this D-line offense. Allard. Back to Côté Allard. Young. Little handler dish up line, not available. Good coverage. And shoots that through the inside of the field. Brilliant find. Bélanger jumps it into the end zone for the QOLD break, and they're just one behind now at 3-2.
That was a great patient throw from Young. Plenty of cuts. Really hard defense from SOS there, just not making any easy options available. Manages to find that wide open pass in the end zone for a straight shot. High stall count must have been. Great patience from Young there.
Yeah, saw the window and just waited for it to open itself up. And really rifled that flick through the center of the pitch. There's the turn down the far sideline that gave the Canadians the disc. Good layout there to save possession from Allard. Young looking, faking, and he sees this quite late, but he puts his throw on the money. Just the one goal behind now. This weather, having not been here this week, I can't really comment. Only got in yesterday morning, but it feels like this is probably the best of the conditions we've seen so far.
You are correct, it definitely is.
So having just been broken, SOS will look to right the ship here. Underneath, here's Revolts. Going towards the sideline. Chang trying to organise the downfield offence. Nice high relief backhand into Pape. Back to Gussin. Wants to sit this one, not quite in the end zone, but on the doorstep. Going backwards to try and get off the sideline and generate a little bit of space. And that high release backhand has been devastating. Kirkland reels it in for 4-2.
That is a really nice, clean offense that we see from SOS here. They just have absolutely no problem working their disc down the field, finding open players with every single throw. QOLD are going to have to work a bit harder on defense if they're going to want to generate another break.
Obviously, no defender wants to get broken, but when you've got someone who has that length and that reach that Gussin has, that high release backhand is a hell of a weapon to have in the locker.
Are you just jealous of his height there, Benji?
I'm not jealous at all. I'm perfectly happy being a certified short king. But yes, I must say, you've got to utilize whatever you've got. If you've got it, flaunt it. That's what they call it. Shorter players, you know, you see them utilize those quick, sharp changes of direction and those low releases. But with tall players, you've got that wingspan to really work your way around marks and utilize those high releases to your own benefit.
I consider myself a bit of a short player on the field. Definitely love the low release.
Harvey, this one very nearly did. That's a really good catch under pressure from Roy. Because Coleman was breathing down her neck. Low, sliding snag, brilliantly made by Cote-Ala. Now shooting deep. Pivillet breaks it off the sideline. Gives the offense a little bit more lateral space. Harvey with the stall count rising. Gets it back on the sideline. Gagnon. Back into Harvey's hands. Can he orchestrate a break? Goes around to Pivillet. Again, trying to get a little bit of speed, and that time put up a trust throw for the receiver, but not on the same page. And at any rate, I think the throw had sailed out of bounds at an uncatchable height.
You really got to hand it to QOLD here for being quite patient on the offense up until that point. They were doing a really good job of really just working around the SOS defense, finding those breaks and those short chances when they could. Just couldn't manage to hold on to it till the end of the end zone, so SOS will have their chance now.
Hunziker tries to sneak that break throw through. Hunter elevates to make the catch, and now sliding low onto the turf is Arends. long, tall figure. Goes short into the gut of Hunter. Winds up, fires the flick to Jespersen. Off the line. Swung a lot more central, giving them a lot easier way of attacking that break side of the field. High release flick, this is going to pop up a little bit, and QOLD knock it to the turf. They'll get a second opportunity on this point.
SOS has definitely a very formulaic offensive style with that vertical stack.
So QOLD's offense working again once more. Last possession they worked it the majority of the field, and to throw it away in the red zone. High down the sideline. What a find Emmanuel Leroy is. Perfectly weighted, brilliant throw for 4-3.
And what a utilization of space there from QOLD, just absolutely opening up the field. Loy going for that perfectly timed strike and that perfectly weighted flick huck for the score.
Get another little look at it on the replay. That one maybe was overthrown, but in the end it landed in the hands of Butipa. And he saw the target he wanted and did not hesitate to pull the trigger, and that's what you need to do. When you see the windows, especially against teams of this quality, you need to back yourself to make those throws. And the throw was made with aplomb.
And you can really see the level of experience that these players have playing together. Loy sees their teammate with the disc and she knows he's got that flick and she just goes for the end zone.
Yeah, you always need to make sure that you're continuing to make those strong cuts deep under to the break side, because even if you don't get the disc, it does help create space for your teammates and gives the thrower options, as this pull is going to float all the way behind the tendon out of bounds.
I think it went over 2 fences.
I'm very glad that I did not have to go and retrieve that.
Oh, the game advisors adding a new disc even.
So while the previous disc is retrieved, Chang will bring to the break mark.
SOS with their vertical offense once again.
First throw goes to Kirkland on the far side. A little bit of a continuation maybe, past the beating defender to Pape. Anna Maria Pape to Chang, not far out, and just pops up a little dishy backhand. Goosen, who we usually see throwing the scores, this time striking up line for the goal.
SOS have really dialed in that vertical stack. They are just able to, those cuts come from the back of the stack every single time. QOLD must know this by now, and yet with that much experience and that much practice, they're able to set those cuts up perfectly. So even if their stack is formulaic and you know what's going to happen, they're still beating QOLD to the disc every single time down that open side of the field.
Very much a case of easier said than done. You know what's going on. Can you stop it? So far, QOLD haven't necessarily been able to. I've done it a couple of times. Haven't been able to generate one break, and after the O-line surrendered the disc on their previous point, they did get it back and eventually put it in. So they can generate turns. The question is, can they find a way to consistently ratchet up that pressure?
What do you think that we're going to have to see from QOLD in order to get them to generate another turn?
So far, we've seen both teams come out pretty much exclusively with match defense. Again, with sides like this, with a little bit of wind, you'd expect that they'd have the quality of throwing, but sometimes just putting out a slightly different look defensively, you get those extra beats, those split seconds where people hesitate to make sure they know exactly where all the defenders are, and sometimes that can be enough of a miscommunication or a mistiming you need to generate some pressure or a turnover.
QOLD also setting up in a split stack, or sorry, a vertical stack.
And they reset to begin the possession. Gauthier Ayard, after cutting towards the sideline, goes down the field. but still working it exclusively between the two hands at the moment, Putipa and Young. Young, back to Putipa. And there's a pick.
That was a really nice fake that Young had to get Putipa's mark off of him. With that inside backhand fake, Putipa's mark just goes flying to the ground, leaving Putipa wide open in the middle for that reset there.
Again, struggling to get free downfield, but Young squirrely, those sharp changes of direction as the reset. Putipa. Only just gone between the two of them so far at this point. Can they find a way to get the other 5 in though? This might do it. Floating a disc all the way over the top, and Couture Dubé couldn't quite catch up with it. I like the shot because the offense had been very stagnant, just going laterally, and seeing the opportunity to sit that over the top. A good look, I think, even if it couldn't quite be executed.
I agree. They had a lot of just undercuts, resetting the disc. They really needed a big throw or some kind of change up there to mix up the offense. Good look.
Hunziker into Garrity's breadbasket. Resetting around. On the far sideline now is Kingery. Short. And Sleever finds Garrity. Garrity thought about the beak option, but instead opts to go short. Finds Bendit in doing so. And Bendit, I think maybe in two minds about whether she wanted to go short or long, and completely bisected her teammates. This time it's Young who's going to put it deep. It's going to fade towards this near side, and maybe just got a little too far underneath it, did Roy?
Yeah, I was actually kind of expecting to see a bit more of an OI background arcing from into the sideline and back into the pitch there. Instead, he chose to go for that IO. Just had a bit of a weird angle on it.
Yeah.
She couldn't quite get underneath it.
No, a very difficult read, that inside-out backhand, especially, as you say, if you're expecting the throw to come in the other way. Hunziker to Garrity. Dishes it off to Kingery, trying to get some flow and motion towards the break side. Hunziker now finds the opportunity to jack it deep, but ready and waiting for it. Eric Pivile. And now Putipa is going to call the timeout for QOLD, with their offense looking a little bit at 6s and 7s.
And as we roll into this timeout, I think we can take a bit of a break.
Welcome back to the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships, live here from the University of Limerick in the southwest of Ireland. Mixed Masters action for you at the moment, with QOLD from Quebec, Canada, up against SOS of Seattle, Washington. Benji Reese and Troy Weston in the booth, with QOLD bringing the disc in off the timeout, going with a vertical setup. First look's not there, but spears it into the gun of Roy downfield. Now on the end zone line. Gagnon looks for a reset, but doesn't see it initially, but goes back to it wisely to Putipa. Getting towards the break side, sitting this into space. Was she able to toe the line? That is the question.
I guess we'll see on the replay maybe, or no, they're just saying she's out, yeah.
Yeah, just couldn't quite keep that back foot down in time. That's a really difficult low sliding grab, and it's going to be called down. I must admit, from the angle I'm looking at it, I'm almost perfectly blocked by the back of Sleever, and they're going to say that the turnover stands.
I mean, from my point of view, it almost looked like he slid out of bounds before he had control of the disc, so that might be what I would have said.
Although actually, I think this might go back to the thrower anyway.
So a contested either down or out of bounds call there.
This time they want to squeeze it, blading down the sideline. And Sleever, exasperated, knows that actually he didn't play that perfectly. Just mistimed his jump and misread the flight slightly.
And another pick will be called on this vertical offensive stack.
Petit pas with the disc. The bespectacled Jespersen puts the mark on. Ripped through the center of the field. Good awareness from Sleever to put that palm up and knock it to the floor. Here's Hunziker to bend it. Bend it back to Hunziker. Looking for the inside window, but did not get the edge right on that one.
I think the wind definitely played a bit of a factor in the edge on that one. Just couldn't quite fix it in this wind.
Wants to shoot this towards the break side, and that is a complete miscommunication. The disc harmlessly works its way to the turf, and the blade to the back of the end zone. An ambitious look. Jespersen couldn't reel it in, and the foul is called. I think regardless of the outcome, it's not the greatest of throws.
What do you really think, Benji?
I think it should have been a thumber to the break side, that's my opinion.
Yes, never fails with the thumber.
And we're going to get another timeout here. This time Kate Kingery on the end zone line decides that actually let's get our offense set, we'll get a play drawn up and give ourselves the best chance of punching in this break. This is a timeout call that makes sense to me.
You're right what you said earlier. I'm quite surprised we haven't seen any kind of junky zone looks from either team, especially since both teams are playing a vertical offensive stack. It would be, that's what I would do, is I would throw some kind of junky look just on the start to shut down any initial plays, make them think twice about their setup, and then they can break out into their match defense.
Especially coming off the timeout where you can't move before the disc gets checked in. So usually you're taking up a good couple of seconds in the stall count just to try and get people into positions where they're free of their matchups. So actually, a lot of the time in situations like this, I like to see teams almost counterintuitively not look towards the end zone. Actually just being go backwards, we'll get the disc moving a bit, so we're getting our cutters going downfield.
What are your thoughts on setting up a zone look just outside the end zone?
I quite like it. More and more I think you see teams sticking with these zones down the field. I think traditionally you always kind of dissolve that into a one-on-one matchup, but theoretically zone should be at its best in these situations where space is at a premium. So Kingery, they get the isolation they want. Garrity's not in the end zone just yet. Goes around, it's a little low, but Hunziker slides to the turf. You can see the water come up, having been hammered with rain in the past couple of days. Kingery breaks. That's a really nice high snatch by Bendit for the break.
They had a perfectly planned execution on their initial end zone setup. They had that isolation that they wanted. She was able to just move her mark and cut away, getting that disc into beautiful wide open space in the end zone, really creating a really nice flow for SOS's end zone play, and finding that open spot in the middle there for the continuation in the score.
So 6-3 now. SOS lead here in the Mixed Masters division at the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships. Coming at you live on the WFDF YouTube channel from the University of Limerick. And hello to everyone watching at home, be that here in Ireland, in Canada, or in the west coast of the United States, God knows when in the morning, or anyone watching worldwide. It is a pleasure to have you along with us here for this game and indeed all week.
And if you're feeling like you want to get some merch and you see all the players on the field that are wearing these wonderful kits, or you want something wonderful t-shirt or hats or pants, you can always go to the VC merch tent, or you can check out VC's online store. There are clothing, apparel, great comfortable clothing. Yeah, they have made the media and volunteer jerseys, and they are always consistently comfortable. And I must admit, I'm off to the merch tent after this game. Uncontested foul there on the throw from Proby. Our newly engaged teammate. Sure, to the Grand Maison. And floated up a little bit and greedily picked off by Hunter. Hunter with that backwards hat. Doesn't like the look of dispersion, and the still count must be rising now. Just about finds a way to squeeze it to shoot. Back to Hunter, and it's in the end zone. 7-3 now. Or not. Did he not? That could not come up with that? No, he did not. There's a few players standing in our way. Couldn't quite see the outcome, but it looks like that was a missed catch, as was that one. So the wind just may be causing a couple of errors here for both sides. Claws it to dispersion. Nods. Turns, isolates Hunter, who clears out. And Shoot catches the reset. Trying to roll this backhand out into space. I just put that too far out in front of Miller. Back here for the Canadians. Oh, that looked a little bit ugly, but as long as it works, it doesn't really matter. Proby, the wind really whipping up now. You can feel it here. And motions for your teammates to do something downfield, but yeah, you can see it affecting the throws as Tremblay Paradis gets suspiciously open. And a pick was called. Yeah, this is not a judgment on their ability, but in a game that's where the defense has generally been so tight, anytime someone is wide open like that, it does feel like something must have gone wrong somewhere. Towards the break side, this will float, and nearly got it at the second attempt, but Proby couldn't snatch it. Definitely seeing the wind having an effect on a lot of these throws now. Who can adjust quicker? Hunter resets to shoot. Wants to get this back to Hunter, going towards the break side, but the instant continuation isn't there. At the moment, SOS just going backwards. Trying to put that one out into space. Really well read by Tremblay Paradis, but actually, Shoot is saying that there was contact on that leg. Does feel like the wind is a bit of a crosswind. I can feel it blowing in my face here sitting on the sideline, so that means it's quite difficult to throw in going in both directions. It will be an uncontested foul, it looks like. Yeah, and we're going to have another timeout here with Shoot sensing the opportunity to really put SOS in the driving seat. We're going to take the opportunity to have a breather and talk some tactics. We will do the same here in the booth, but don't go anywhere, because the World Masters Ultimate Club Championship continues on the other side.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, UltimateTV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
our
work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
So coming in off the timeout, the reset goes to Hunter, who can't hang on. The curse of the turnout strikes SOS. Proby wants the reset, doesn't see it. Tries to find the inside flick off the hands, but this might be rescued. Great heads up play there by Bauer. Bauer looks and threads the needle, still not in the end zone just yet. Tremblay Paradis desperately tries to find a reset, scuttling free, and Dion puts it into the end zone for QOLD to make it 6-4. Well, the timeout had an effect, just not the effect that SOS were hoping for.
So QOLD would actually like to make a shout out to one of their teammates who's expecting right now and therefore could not make it out to the tournament. Fanny Rouleau. They wish you could be here but are so happy for you where you are right now.
It's definitely one of those things that you probably factor in a bit more as you go up the age divisions, is players having other family commitments.
And an absolutely insane fact on the SOS side, there is one of the women on their team is a mother of 3, Trudy Phillip. One of her children, her youngest, being only 7 weeks old. That's mad.
I can't imagine popping a wee in out and then going to play Ultimate 7 weeks later. That is absolutely bonkers to me.
It is bonkers. It's absolutely. I don't know anyone else that could have done that.
So mad respect for that. This ball goes out of bounds early, and rather than bring it in from the brick mark, Chang for SOS is opting to go from the sideline, quite a way down the pitch. Putting them away from that side stack into the more vertical. Look, a sensible suggestion given that they're starting right on this near sideline. And the first pass is swung to Gussin and now back into the hands of Chang. Here's Wiggins, back to Chan. Running a little bit of give-go between the two of them. Comes to Chang once more. Revolts.
Was that a push, Scuba?
Well, whatever it was, it seemed to work as that throw from Chang just falls at the feet as Revolts. So Chang now puts on the mark. QOLD's D-line struggling to generate a little bit of offense. That might do it, a pop over the top of the mark towards the break side. Beckoning cutters towards into that space, but thrown behind Pivile. Everyone scrambles to get into position around the end zone. Towards the break side, and weighted brilliantly from Gussin into the hands. This time it's Heidi Marie Wiggins, and that'll make it 7-4.
I am just waiting to see some kind of different defense or different offense from one of these teams. One of the things that you think about when you're a coach is that if you're playing a vertical offense and your opponent also plays a vertical offense, that means both teams are also very used to playing defense against a vertical offense. And so you think that one of these teams would mix things up but both teams have just stuck with the match D, stuck with their vertical offense, which just shows how confident they really are in their systems.
Yeah, it's the idea of, as you mentioned, having confidence in your systems, going with what you feel you know best and can get the best out of the players you have on the field. Other looks might be more advantageous in terms of matchups. Like, if there's a vertical stack, then you might think, okay, scrambling around it and surrounding it, sitting in those spaces might work. But if it's something you're not as comfortable with as a team, then you're never going to be able to execute it as efficiently as you would like. Some sage wisdom from Troy Weston alongside me in the booth. That throw, a little bit floaty, not a problem for Bauer. Bauer into the hands of Proby downfield. Now back to Bauer. Surveys, looks, rips it deep. There's going to be a couple of players underneath it, and very nearly the emergency backup ended up with the disc in her hands. Marianne Cote was the closest to it, but just couldn't quite reel it in.
I didn't mind the look from Bauer. It just hung out a bit too long and sailed a little bit too far there.
That edge was greedily pushed by the wind as this one deep, a brilliant layout, but it is not quite there. What a bid though.
Coming up with a muddy shirt.
Yeah, the rather stylish SOS design looks slightly less so with a big brown mud stain along the front.
Just shows how hardcore she is.
I mean, in the tank top as well. I mean, that is hardcore. Because, let me tell you, it is not tank top weather.
Well, you know what they say, sun's out, guns out.
Yes, but the sun isn't out, that's the problem.
It was when the game started.
That is true. All right, I will concede. Fair play. I was trying to think of something that rhymes with clouds, and I couldn't. I'll get there. Give me some time.
If you can help Benji out and find a rhyme for clouds, you can comment on our YouTube channel, where hopefully you're watching for free.
Another floating hark, this time sails out of the sideline. And that's where it has to be brought in. Proby gets herself set. Into the center of the pitch. This is batted and collected at the second attempt by Jespersen. Jespersen goes short to Kingery. Shooting to the end zone for Coleman, who has it for half. 8-4. SOS will go into the break with the lead over QOLD.
I'm excited to see the second half of this game, see if any of the teams come out with different looks or just stick with their tried and true, system tested and absolutely proven to be working so far for SOS. Vertical stack, person match defense.
Yeah,
hard work from both of these teams.
At the moment, I think if you're SOS, you say, we're doing what we do well. We can maybe do it a little bit better. We've had some unforced errors, probably due to the wind, but otherwise, tactically, we feel like it's working. For QOLD, it does feel like they might need to dip into that bag of tricks and put out something a little bit different.
I think we're going to have to see some kind of different look from QOLD if they want to get a couple more breaks in the bag, possibly a different look on defense. SOS, an extremely talented team of great throwers. A zone may or may not work, but they haven't tried it yet, and so, you know, what's the harm in trying something new at this point to try to get some more breaks?
The ultimate things in life are free, and we're keeping it that way. Subscribe to keep up with the latest games, tournaments, and community content. Share it with your team and friends, and drop a like to help spread Ultimate to more people. Spread the word, spread the love. Ultimate.tv.
welcome back to coverage of the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships here from the University of Limerick in Ireland. Benjamin Rees alongside Troy Weston bringing you coverage this morning of mixed Masters Division action with SOS of the USA having an 8-4 halftime lead over Canada's QOLD. A very good morning or happy time zone to wherever you are watching us live here on the WFDF YouTube channel, and if you want to get notified whenever we go live this week or in future, then you can like and subscribe to the channel, and there's a little bell you can ring for notifications as well. I believe that's what YouTubers say.
Yes. Cold hailing all the way from Quebec, mostly Quebec City in Quebec province of Canada. They have 3 players on their roster that are out of province from BC. And on the other side, they're from Seattle, mostly. The other side of the country in North America there. But 3 players hailing from Kansas.
That's a bit of a commute.
Just a little.
Probably about equal from BC to Quebec, I guess. Maybe not quite as long.
Yeah, I think Kansas is mid-country, although my U.S. geography is not the best, I will admit.
As a Canadian, I think you have an excuse.
Fair enough.
I just know that they are not particularly close.
They are definitely not close.
So 8-4, SOS up at half. Do you think this is a case of the second half following the same pattern of the first, or will QOLD have something in the locker to try and snap that streak?
Well, I'm hoping to see some new looks from QOLD. Whether or not they're going to work is another question. SOS being a very veteran team, loads of experience on that team. I won't be surprised if we see new looks, but I also won't be surprised if SOS easily deals with those looks.
So QOLD starting the second half on offense. Find Proby downfield. He's done a lot of the effective cutting in the first half. Tried to put that one out in front, but Petitpas got rid of it a little bit too quickly, and Proby couldn't catch up to it. That's certainly not to the start to the second half that the Quebecois were looking for. That one low. Nice sliding snag there by Coleman. Under good pressure from de Grand Maison, and now it's SOS's turn to turn over on an upline pass.
I think a lot of people underestimate how difficult those upline touch passes can be.
That one, that is some snag. Sliding to the ground, and it got right in the breadbasket. Proby, not far outside the end zone. Had a couple of looks there, instead going short, just on the doorstep now. Players trying to get set. Still count rising, and a delicious little inside flick for the goal from QOLD. Will make it 8-5.
Dan Bauer on that throw. Before coming into this game, he had a whopping 9 assists and 2 goals throughout the tournament so far. He is definitely one to be watching out for, especially with spicy little IO flicks like that one.
Yeah, averaging, this is quick maths, 3 assists a game coming into this. And demonstrating why there. Just giving it out nice and quickly, past the attempted foot block, and Julie de Grand Maison clearly a little bit jazzed about that score, which is good. Trying to keep that energy high. There was that brilliant sliding catch to keep the play alive. That is nowhere near as easy as she made it look.
You can really see the conditions on camera here. When she got up there, her jersey was just soaking wet. It is not a nice day out.
No, given the quantity of rain that we've had over the past few days, the fields have held up remarkably, but you can see when players go to ground, there is that little bit of water that comes kicking up. I will say that there is going to be a lot of dirty laundry after the end of this week. Anyone who manages to keep a white jersey white, a little bit suspicious.
Clearly, they aren't playing hard enough.
Exactly. Chang wants the reset, but not finding it. Still count rising. Nice little offhand backhand down the line. Good way to open things up. Revolts wants to shoot this one over the top. Tricky read, and it was always dying away from the receiver.
Bit of an unfortunate turn of events there for QOLD, because I believe QOLD called a travel on 2 throws prior. The continuation rule on the travel, though, is the first throw would stand, the second throw does not. So that turnover is going to come back to the initial throw with the travel was called on.
You can see the game advisor coming in to try and help clarify proceedings. Game advisors cannot make active rulings. They can only provide rules clarifications and their perspectives. In terms of perspectives, for say up, down or in-out calls, the players on the field do not have to take the game advisor's word as well.
Both these teams might have a little bit less experience playing with game advisors because they're used to playing with observers, which actively do call up, down, in, and out.
Yeah, and they can also make binding calls on fouls and other such infractions.
Yes, if you decide to go to an observer for a decision, their rule is binding.
But under WFDF rules, got that out eventually, no such luck. It's whatever happens on the field. The players themselves have to come to the resolution. Roussin finds that inside break well as the bit of rain becomes to come down here in Limerick. That one low. And Roussin with that strapped right calf. Can't reel it in, so we're getting a little bit of treatment earlier in the game. Good to see that she's able to continue. Revolts goes short to Chang. Wants to find a way to get it off this sideline. Instead just pops it to Gussin. And he's going to swing central. Continuation. Throw sits up nicely for Revolts. Hair flowing out of that backwards blue cap. Just off to Chang, and now Gussin right on the sideline. Just playing it between the handlers at the moment. Happy to work laterally. As this one, Chang's going to have to lay out. Makes the snag expertly. And now trying to force it down the sideline. Brilliant connection to Kirkland. Chang made to work for it, but repays the faith.
What a bidding grab there from Chang. Just the outstanding athleticism. He is really putting his all into getting that up the line and pass. I think we're going to have another look at it. There he goes. Just a brilliant bid. Gets up, collects his composure for the nice, calm throw into that end zone. As the rain and the wind pick up even more now.
Yeah, I think after this game, I'm going to go back home, quote unquote, back to our accommodation, and put on some extra jumpers.
Definitely need them in this. I think I'm wearing every single layer that I brought with me.
Oh, wow.
Well, I only brought one jumper, which may have been a mistake, but at least there is a laundromat close to our residence, and I can get it refreshened as needed.
Good memory. I'd completely forgotten about that. I have packed lots of warm weather gear and, like an idiot, left it in the accommodation. Mercifully, it's only a 5-minute walk back.
Yeah, see, whereas mine is an 8-hour flight away.
Yeah. It's only 8 hours. I thought it'd be longer than that.
It's about 8 hours, yeah.
Dion towards the sideline. Willie goes central and now pops off. Back into the hands of Dion. Bauer on the far sideline. Wants to find an option downfield. Stays with it and throws it right to SOS. Now opening up the arm and corking a big one downfield, but really well defended by Bauer to get that back. Had position all the way and did not surrender.
That's really great position, and when you're marking up against a taller player like that, you really need to get in front of them so that they have no chance on that disc, and Bauer did exactly that in that position.
So ball to the front line of the end zone. You can see the rain droplets on the camera lens, giving you an idea of the conditions. Another really tough grand made by de Grand Maison. And now she wants to sit one out towards this near sideline. Chases on! Brilliantly done by Cortilla. And thought there was the window into the end zone, but good hands-up defense from Sleeva. Gets it back. All that effort comes to naught. Agonizing for QOLD, but a brilliant catch regardless.
Oh, and that's what we call the conservation of greatness right there.
Every 10 out of 10 catch. Sometimes followed by a, what they call it, also call it the rule of 11.
Yep.
So 10 out of 10 catch, maybe a 1 out of 10 throw. Don't push yourself too much when you get that adrenaline going. But I saw the window, and I understand the decision to make that throw. It was just good heads-up awareness from Sleeva. Disc now back with QOLD. Bauer wants to work his way free as the reset, and I think got more than a portion of Cameron Hunter. Just clarification of the stall count. Dispersion on the mark. Alexandre Dion has the disc in his hands. Wearing those gloves. He's got like an elbow pad maybe, support on that right arm. Has to get that out. Brilliant low release past the bidding mark of Dispersion. And now Dion has it back in his hands, utilising the opportunity with the mark on the floor to get the disc back. Still count rising. Again gets the mark to sit down and now makes the reaching snag behind him. Wants to go around, gets it underneath the mark. But I think this might go back on the pick.
That was an unreal throw. Just from this angle, it looks like he just got it just kissing the grass below before he released that disc.
Yeah, a little bit of a daisy cutter, perhaps. Dispersion checks it back in. Some Dion goes for the inside flick and a brilliant layout to save possession and prevent the goal. Now looking deep, Dispersion's got to get on the horse. He's not going to get there.
Great ambition on that throw. If it had hung out any longer, he would have got there.
It was Garrity with the block down the other end, but SOS couldn't capitalise. Now bladed down the sideline, and I don't think this ever came in bounds.
No, SOS will get to take it just outside the end zone there now because it didn't come back in bounds as the player had intended to. It will get to come back in where it left the pitch, so gaining quite a few yards for SOS.
Swung to Hunter. Hunter goes to Sleeva. Sleeva wants to lead this into the end zone. And despite the bid from Kingery, it's too far out in front. Both teams becoming a little bit profligate near the end zone. Bauer. This point really becoming a bit of a grind. Could be a huge decider in the outcome of this game. And Míle decides, with the point going on a little bit, take the timeout and give everyone the chance to have a breather. We'll do the same in the booth. This is a good opportunity for you at home to get hydrated, get loose, get ready, because the conclusion of this game continues on the other side. So welcome back to WFDF's coverage of the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships. You're watching live on the WFDF YouTube channel. Mixed Masters action live from Limerick with QOLD of Quebec, Canada up against SOS from Seattle, Washington State, USA. QOLD bringing the disc in off the timeout. Bauer has it. Bauer opens up the arm, puts some air underneath, and you would put your house on de Grand Maison making the catch.
That was just a perfectly weighted throw that we saw there from Bauer. Grand Maison had defenders behind her, defenders in front of her. She had to be absolutely sure to catch this disc, which Bauer knew and trusted his receiver to do that, and with that perfectly weighted throw, just dropped it right into her waiting hands.
Have another look at it again on the replay. These blades have been tough to catch, but de Grand Maison has read that one expertly.
So one of the things that WFDF have sorted out really nicely for rules in mixed games is to make it completely fair and equitable. It's known as Rule A, and so whatever the teams decide on a gender ratio to start the game, be it 4-3 or 3-4, women and men matching players, and then the next 2 points will be the opposite, and then the next 2 points will be the opposite again, and so on and so forth down the game.
Rather appropriately, in a game involving a team called SOS, you'll also hear it called the ABBA rule.
Right, so A being one match way, B being the other match way, and then back to A.
Tried out various different gender ratio rules over the past few years, and I must say, I think this is my favourite of them. Ensures that genders get equal pitch time.
And one of the things that will actually be coming in later in the year, they're trying it out for World Games, is that the gender with the more players on the field also now have to be the ones to pull.
Yeah, the prescribed puller rule, which is another change actually that I must say I'm a fan of. Songa. Feels like it's been a while since we've seen this SOS O-line on the field. Dumped off to Chang. Chang with an ambitious shot to the end zone, but it's off target. A chance, perhaps, for QOLD to close the gap.
To say, despite being Masters age, SOS certainly have absolutely no problems throwing their bodies around on this ground.
No, and you love to see it. As QOLD showing the same there through Mirali Roussin. Now it's put deep, streaking behind the defense. Desmarais.
Great communication there from that QOLD player. I think she thought that the disc was for her, and he just says, I'm behind you, I've got this disc. Great communication there probably from Desmarais.
Checked in. Fakes the backhand. Those players clear through. Now the reset to Roussin. Just got no rotation on that at all.
No, looked like he tried a push pass. Really close range with no spin on that disc. The wind said absolutely not today.
Yeah, if you are not generating all that torque through the wrist to get the spin on these throws, you're going to have a bad time. Fussell down the sideline. Pape with a high rising grab. Dumps off to Gussin. Squeezes it down the sideline and off the hands of Songa. But there's a foul on the throw, uncontested.
That is lucky for Songa. I think she was so sure she had that in her hands, she may have been thinking about her next throw before finishing the catch.
Yeah, she would absolutely have backed herself to make that one stick. Gussin stands on the with the disc in his hand and now has it back after a little bit of interplay between Chang and Songa. Songa looking at the reset, comes away from it and just takes the opportunity of the face mark to just sit that one into space. And by the time the mark realizes it's there, it's already in Gussin's hands, and now he continues up line, collects the throw from Kirkland to make it 10-6.
Although that point wasn't long, it seemed very intense, a lot of back and forth there. The QOLD defense on that end zone line just looked haggard.
So after opening themselves a lead in the first half, SOS and QOLD just kind of trading at the moment in the second stanza of this contest.
And number 71 on QOLD, Pierre Benoit Allard, would like to wish his son on the sideline, Christophe, a happy birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday. Or bon anniversaire, as I believe they say in French.
I think that's correct.
Merci. I studied French for 6 years, and I know I can speak barely a word. Maybe I'll have to venture to Quebec at some point and try and brush up.
Well, it is one of the national languages of Canada where I am from, and yet I cannot boast that I speak very good French at all.
So you're kind of on the west coast.
Yes.
And that is not a French-speaking area.
It is not.
I think you've got an excuse.
There are a lot of people in BC that do speak French quite well. I'm just not one of them. I could get by. I could order a coffee or a beer, find my way to a train station. That's
good,
about it.
That's good enough for me. Just the basics. How are you? Thank you. Cheers. And where is the library for some reason?
Où est la bibliothèque?
Down the sideline, and there might be a foul call here. Picard in discussion with Garrity.
Looks like a foul call on the initial intended receiver. That first one there. Or this one.
You can kind of see it in the back of the picture there.
I have to say, it may have been a foul, but I'm not sure that Picard would have had a chance on that disc.
Yeah, I must admit I didn't get a good look at it. As that low throw scooped off the turf. And now a continuation down the sideline. Players sliding about all over the place. But QOLD can't make it stick.
Oh!
Hunziker
with
fakes the big
block.
and is blocked. Proby into Dion. Dion with a delicious inside throw. What a find there. De Grand Maison, and that low release just slides it past the defender into the hands of Proby for 10-7. A couple of visionary looks there throwing.
I think we have to give that point to Oulier with that amazing hand block so close to the end zone. He was all over his mark, not letting him throw that big backhand, and then gets up for the hand block. Beautiful. And then that great grab, actually, again, from De Grand Maison under pressure in the end zone.
She has been so dependable as a receiving option. And this one just sees that window and just sneaks that one in there. Past Bendit, the defender.
And another point on the board for Danny Proby, who is quite an accomplished coach as well as a player. She is a co-founder of an ultimate academy called Elevate back in Vancouver, BC, where she is from.
I've seen them in the YouTube comments.
They do a lot of coaching for youth players. They're a huge influence in the Vancouver community, bringing up young players and young coaches.
Oh, we love to see it. Sharing that knowledge around and coaching the next generation of masters, or maybe the generation after that. Rebolts. Lovely inside flick to Chang. Chang continues towards the break side to Gussin. That's really nice continuation, timing of the cuts there. Wiggins dishes it back to Gussin. Chang snatches that one with that gloved right hand. Looking for the break, doesn't see it. Now with the give go, led into the end zone, chased down in time. And the goal is given.
Looks like SOS just ran a complete handler dominator there, just completely those two players working it down the field, and they made it look easy.
Chang won a few players on both sides wearing gloves. Where do you stand on the whole gloves versus bare hands debate?
You know, I have to say, I think they do make a difference for catching, especially when the disc, when it's rainy and the disc is a bit wet. I have difficulty throwing in them sometimes, so I'll often just wear one on my left hand to help with the catching and then leave my right hand free. But I can certainly say I bet you Friction Gloves has done quite well for themselves this week.
Yeah, I must say that I used to own a pair of Friction Gloves, and they did me really well, especially in these sorts of conditions where it is wet and windy and slick. Or alternatively, in the opposite, when it's baking hot and your hands get really sweaty. Also really handy to have a pair of gloves. I kind of dispense with them because I just liked feeling the disc actually in my hands. But anytime people ask me about it, I must say that I do not have a bad word to say about Friction Gloves.
I know, I don't think I have a bad word to say about them either.
I handed them down to a younger player, and I think they still have them about 5 years later. Massive pump fake there from Tremblay Paladis. Wants to sneak that one in there, but Hunter knew it and snatched it away. Cheeky little high release flick. Finds Coleman in that pocket of space. Now dumped back to Hunter. Garrity underneath. Fakes the flick. Turns into the backfield. Tries to isolate Hunter. And there's a discussion on the mark here.
Looks like it may have been contact or a foul.
Some sort of marking infraction, potentially.
So the rule of contact came in, it was a good
Couple
while
years ago
now. Yeah,
yeah.
Maybe 5 years or so. It used to be you could only call a foul when you're on the, when someone was marking you and they contacted you in some way, shape, or form. And when a foul is called, the play stops. And everyone else on the pitch has to stop running as well, and the count would go back down to 0 if uncontested. And the new rule of contact means it's just a marking violation or a marking infraction now, and so you can call the contact rule without having to stop the play, and instead your mark can just continue marking, stop the infraction, drop their stall count by 2, and the flow of the game will keep going.
Yeah, I think it's 2 for marking infractions, and then back to 0 for any subsequent marking infraction. But a contact call always resets the call to 0.
You're right, I misspoke there. It does count to 0.
But it's a good way because of it's a good addition to the rules because it means that the defense doesn't necessarily get the advantage of breaking up the flow and rhythm of the offense, as that throw for Hunter, despite the layout, is out of the far sideline. Reset to Tremblay Paradis. Now Bauer. Tremblay Paradis. Back to Bauer. Everything going laterally at the moment. That might gain a few yards.
Slipped out of his hand though.
So another good break opportunity here for the Americans, or maybe not. Spoke too soon. These are throws that in the majority of conditions you would overwhelmingly expect to work. Just no one is like this. Floated up downfield. Bauer showing that flick.
visionary toss there, just couldn't quite get the right edge on it.
Injury's going to be called. I'm pretty sure that's not the injury sign. I think that's one of the gender ratio signs, but everyone understands what's going on, so that's fine.
And as an injury sub means that everyone does stop play, you can actually just stop running, not have to catch the disc and worry about it being a turnover, because it will come back to the thrower.
So it looked like Closet was the player who had to come off. He'll be replaced by Jespersen. And I think this is going to be a violation.
Probably meant that some players were moving when the disc had not been tapped in just yet.
Might be able to just hear the wind whipping up ever stronger here in Limerick.
And if you're ever uncertain, just take a look at some of the jerseys on the pitch. You can see them just blowing in the wind.
Yeah. Fluttering away. It is, not pleasant ultimate conditions as the deep put for Garrity is too far. That'll be a pick downfield. The spacing just a little bit too congested. Players clattering into one another will cause the pick. Beautiful low release backhand to the far sideline. Genet goes back to Tremblay Paradis. Being forced to go laterally, and there's a stall out called. Kinger is the marker.
I'm a fairly firm believer that probably most stalls are too fast. Most people count a little bit faster than an actual second.
But I find that also generally everyone, because usually it's both sides count a little bit fast.
Yeah, so I kind of like to think you actually really only have about 7 seconds with the disc instead of 10.
We did time this once a fair few years ago at an under-23s event, unofficially. I think we found out the average stall out call was about 7 seconds. We even had an uncontested stall out at 4 seconds.
Wow.
I know. Well, I guess both teams are counting fast, so they were like, felt a bit mean to contest it, really. I imagine that was the thinking. Anyway, this time they do get it off, and that'll be a pick call. This game's being played in good spirits. Often when there's a lot of calls, it can get a little bit fractured, but everything seems to be all above board.
Yeah, actually, the Spirit captain on QOLD herself is a criminal defense lawyer, so probably well-versed at being fairly diplomatic.
Definitely the sort of player you'd want to debate your case, I'll say. You can imagine with a lawyer, probably pretty good knowledge of the rules. Genet towards the break side, just about gets it past Garrity. Dion with the stall rising, has to get it off, and does. Bauer. Central about 10 meters out. Tries to fire the inside flick, but Hunter was ready and waiting for it. And now Hunter wants to play the field possession game. Going deep to Jespersen, but Bauer had the closing speed to get that inside track and knock it away.
Again, Bauer with the amazing positioning that he had on Jespersen. Just really great read of that disc and a quick respond to having that turnover at the far end zone. No time to waste, does not hang his head after that turnover. Instead, just turns around, gets his position on Jespersen, and gets the D.
So as the rain is blown right in our faces by the wind. This is a tricky position to be in for QOLD, right on their own end zone line. And it makes you understand why Hunter was so happy to put that huck up, even if it didn't connect. This is batted and flutters to the floor.
And that's why the huck goes up, so that they can play defense down at this zone, get the turn, and have it right outside their end zone line.
Calling it huck and D makes it seem a bit simple and agricultural, but maybe you could just call it playing the percentages.
And this will be SOS's second timeout of the half. I believe that means they don't have any left this half, as both teams get 2 timeouts per half.
Yeah, and you'll just see the turnover there. Just couldn't be gathered cleanly. It almost hit Hunter, and it took that weird bobble and edge and hit the floor. And with a great opportunity for a break here, we're going to take a timeout as we see SOS get their head set to see if they can break after we return. Welcome back to the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships live in Limerick, Ireland, watching on the World Flying Disc Federation YouTube channel with coverage proudly produced by LTTV. Spend your recent Troy Western here in the Irish wind and rain as SOS bring the disc off the timeout, and the curse of the turnout strikes again, but a foul on the throw. You familiar with the concept of the turnout?
No, I'm not.
Oh. We've done the figures unofficially, and teams taking a timeout turn the disc over. What you'd feel would be a disproportionately large amount of the time.
Really? That is quite interesting. I guess it gives the defense maybe a bit more of an advantage because they get to set up and readjust, take a breather. And
of course, you've got to wait a couple of seconds to get players really moving. As this time of the stoppage, brought back in, the throw to Jespersen, and they find Lexi Garrity to make it 12-7, and with a 5-point cushion opened up and about 10 minutes until the cap, probably feel that this is a very pretty position for SOS.
So SOS actually want to give a bit of a shout out to Ben LaRouque. Last minute was not able to make the trip out, but he is with the team in spirit.
So, do you know what SOS stands for?
I don't.
Absolutely nothing. Which is appropriate because people think about SOS in kind of the original sense of being, you know, like it's the Mayday call for Save Our Souls. Although I will tell you that SOS in that scenario also does not stand for anything. But it was picked just because it's ... .. and it was easy to remember and easy to identify, and they kind of reverse engineered what it might stand for.
Well, there is a bit of a trend in that Seattle area to have team names with 3 initials. For example, about 2/3 of this team, SOS, actually played for the 2021 USAU National Championship team, BFG.
BFG are also the reigning World Ultimate Club champions, and they will be aiming to defend their title in Cincinnati next month. Allah. Down the sideline. Roussin. Dishing it off. Still trapped on the sideline, trying to get a little bit more lateral space to work with. Roussin dishes and goes up line, but it's well covered. Weather really causing havoc out here. Allah. Back to Roussin. Low sliding snag made. Trying to shoot that up the line. Wow, there was not a window there. Carlos Young, what a throw. I did not see that space.
I did not see that coming.
No, I mean, that is backing your ability as a thrower. Being given that tight window and having the confidence to take it on and slot it in there.
That is the absolute definition of threading the needle.
I would absolutely have holstered it, worried about that oncoming poach defender. But Young, you know, fair play, backed their ability, and it paid off.
Just enough of an OI to get around her. 12-8, we've got about 7 minutes left to go in game time before our time cap comes on at 100 minutes.
Yeah, so first to 15, or if you don't reach that point by 100 minutes, you finish the point, add 1 to the highest score, and that becomes your new cap. It's a nice way of basically preventing
a cricket long game?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of cricket. Thank you very much. But yes, not everyone wants games to take 5 games in 5 days and then end in a draw. And it also means that a team has to score the winning point in order to get the victory, which allows for the possibility of big comebacks. As Chang launches one deep, and it's snatched away by QOLD.
De Grand Maison coming up with a huge play for QOLD again and again.
MVP style performance from her in this game. Unfortunately, if things stay the way they are, it's going to come in a losing cause. Looking for the inside flick. Finds it to Genet. Genet to Proby on the far side. Proby fakes. Proby launches. And Proby is picked off by Pape. Fox on the far sideline. Trying to boost that flick. Well read there. Got a nice early read on it. Did Fussell. Now SOS just outside the end zone. Second possession this point.
Oh,
and it's a little bit behind
bobbled.
and it bounces off the hands. Again, both teams lacking that degree of clinicity in the red zone. They're not clinical enough.
Maybe not patient enough.
Yeah, that also works. This time it's QOLD's point to Huck.
Nice leading pass.
And the leading pass into the end zone. De Grand Maison finds Genet. And that'll make it 12-9. So, QOLD trying to fire a little bit of a comeback here late on.
Well, it's a smart play to get that disc moving down the field really quickly for QOLD. They are going to have to score a few breaks and quickly now if they want to get up on QOLD before up on SOS before the time cap comes on.
Hello to everyone watching on YouTube, on the World Flying Disc Federation YouTube channel. 2 streams for you all day today, tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, and then just the 1 pitch for finals day on Saturday. We have a mysterious figure in chat who I believe to be WFDF rules guru Ruben Berg, who says that subsequent marking infractions always just drop by 1, and gender signs have changed, and that is the new injury signal. So my apologies, I need to clearly have a refresh of my hand signals.
As do I. We're both stuck on the old ones, apparently. But thank you for that clarification.
(12-9) SOS lead. QOLD will pull to the Americans. Hits the turf and rolls. Songa. Back to Gussin. You can hear the QOLD sideline just shouting a little bit more vociferously now.
Good word.
Thank you. Their tails are up. They feel like they can sense maybe a way back into this game. It might have been drifting away from them. Here's Chang. Chang gets around the mark, finds Kirkland. Chang takes off that line, lovely little lead throw. And now sending that one into space. where it's reeled in by Rebolts. And a pick downfield will stop that flow. We're getting shepherded further back under our tent. Which I must say, a call I'm not too displeased about. Off the check-in, Rebolts to the end zone. And finds the target for the score. 13-9 SOS lead. And if you want to find a way to try and take the wind out of an opposition that is hoping to mount a comeback, a nice, calm, clean hold is probably the way to do it. SOS 2 points away from victory now.
So the SOS team was actually fairly new. They were only founded last year by Steve Gusson? But the running joke is that the team is just a group of his friends.
Seems like he's got some friends that are not half bad at Ultimate.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. In the driving seat in this game against QOLD of Canada, 13-9 the current score. If you want a weather update, I think the camera lens probably tells you all you need to know there.
Yeah, our apologies.
Yeah, then we've got some mini windscreen wipers we could use.
It is quite hard to keep that rain off of the camera completely, though, as the wind is also blowing in every which direction. So our camera crew is doing their best to keep it clear, but it's just not always possible.
Yeah, it's not the sort of rain that comes thundering down in heavy droplets. It's a little bit kind of mizzly. There's the whistle. So I think that is the time cap. That's put deep by QOLD and too far out in front. So we'll finish the point and add one. Volunteers, signs to each pits doing score and timekeeping.
And we have about 120 volunteers here from 20 different countries.
Yeah, even though we're in Ireland, it's a very international event. Coleman putting it deep, Disperson, despite the effort, cannot get there in time. A potential highlight reel play, but too far out in front in the end.
An absolutely massive bid from Jesperson, just really wanting to finish this point and get that disc in the end zone. I don't mind the look on that throw, just couldn't quite reel it in.
So with a rising stall count here, got to get the disc off somehow. Just chooses to play deep, and it hits the turf and rolls out of the sideline.
There's a bit of a conversation on the mark as there was a stall down called. Did he get it off before? It looks like they will leave it as a turn down the field, saying,
yeah, it would have been a turnover regardless. The question is just where, and actually, rather than kind of have the discussion, contest it, just say, okay, fine, got it off, but we'll have the turnover stand from this sideline. Tries to float the high release backhand. Garrity tried to balletically toe the line.
We'll be able to see that in the replay. Players are actually allowed to come to the camera to see if they are allowed to come and look at the replay if they want to. Oh, and it looks like some actually are coming.
It is a valiant attempt regardless.
And a really good spirit here from the SOS sideline as one of her own teammates is telling her she thinks she was out of bounds.
Yeah, Kate Kingery had a look at the replay and said, yeah, I've looked at it, and to me, I don't think you've quite managed it.
That's really, really good spirit upholding. And that's what Spirit of the Game completely is all about right there.
100%. Proby. Low, shoots it through the inside of the pitch. Jesperson. On the mark. Gets broken as the disc goes around to Bauer. Now to Dion. Oh, what a flick.
Great
that
find.
is. Almost a preternatural ability to know where their teammate was going to be and find them in some style. It'll be 13-10 in a game to 14.
That was just a beautiful find. It was almost like the parting of the seas for that flick right down the middle of that end zone there.
It certainly merits looking at again on the replay.
QOLD also have a whole bunch of sponsors that help them get to this tournament. They've got a big flag up behind us with a group of sponsors, and rather than listing them all off, as I think there's about a dozen on there, I will just say from QOLD, thank you so much to their sponsors for helping them get to this wonderful tournament in Limerick, Ireland.
Yeah, hopefully that I'm sure they are doing those sponsors proud out there on the pitch in the wind and rain here in sunny Limerick. That's not right.
No.
Hey, we are more than glad to be here all the same. Here's Songa. Resets to Chang. Chang, and that inside window really bulleted it in there, and it snuck through Rebolt's hands. Allow. Want someone to try and get themselves free downfield. Eventually it's Couture Dubé who does that. Back to Allow. Up line finds Harvey. Harvey, oh, with a cheeky blade over the top. What a way to access this break side of the field.
And that's a break that we just saw there from QOLD. Much needed. They're gonna need a couple more to tie this game up. But that is exactly what they're gonna need right now. And that has got to put a smile on some of the faces.
Right, take it point by point. They need a few more breaks, but that is a very good start.
And that is just one of the precision throws that we've seen from both of these teams this game. That's where that Masters level experience really comes into play here.
Yeah, despite the conditions, having confidence in those throws.
And you can hear the QOLD sideline just getting their teammates on the field, amped up, yelling defense. This is a very traditional Quebec defensive chant that we're hearing on the sideline.
Picked up by Gussin. And ripped by Chang, but it is too flat and too hard, and it never gave Pape a chance.
Bauer again with that great defensive positioning, just intuiting where he needs to go, knowing that the SOS is going to want to put that, and he just reads that like a book.
Tries to find a reset on a high stall. Oh, that was unorthodox, but had to get the disc off, and it just about worked. But the continuation throw downfield just pops up, and Fussell knocks it to the floor ahead of Picard. Now Gussin wants to run in one, shooting for the bookends at the back of the end zone, and Fussell can't get there despite the layout.
SOS really playing that huck and D right now. pushing it closer and closer and closer to the end zone with each chance they've gotten. Playing that really hard D. That's the second time we've seen a stall 9 Hail Mary pass from QOLD.
It was a really odd-looking pass, but it found the target nonetheless. They just couldn't do anything afterwards. All throw popped up, but Picard is there to sweep it in. Dion. Through the inside of the pitch. De Grand Maison, despite that outstretched gloved hand, couldn't bring it in.
Are SOS going to go for another huck here?
It looks like they're going to play it short. Here's Fox. High release towards the centre of the pitch. Songa to Gussin. Oh, a cheeky little scuba.
For the win.
Salacious and saucy and good for victory. 14-11 final score. SOS will take the victory over QOLD here. A fun, intense, exciting final game.
What a great way to start this morning off with that intense ultimate that we just saw from QOLD and SOS. Canada and Americans, 2 rivals that we've seen all over the world, bringing their intensity to this match this morning.
Yeah, you can just see what an effect that the wind and the rain is having on our camera crew. Here's a replay of that final point.
Oh, I definitely want to see that scuba again.
It's just nonchalant, really, isn't it? Cheeky in the extreme. So the first match of this mixed power pool will go the way of SOS with a 14-11 win here over QOLD of Canada. Do stay tuned to the World Flying Disc Federation YouTube channel. Plenty of games coming up. 4 more games on this pitch today and 4 more games on the other pitch beyond this one, because we're up to 2 pitches here today and for the rest of the week. This broadcast 2022 is copyright of the World Flying Disc Federation. Troy, thank you very much for joining me. It's been an absolute delight.
It was an absolute pleasure, maybe despite the bit of cold and rain that we got this morning, but otherwise a really great way to start the day.
We made it through. For Troy Weston, I'm Benjamin Rees, and we will see you on the other side.
Alti.tv